Welcome back to The Explainer. All right, today we're tackling something pretty huge, the systematic process for awakening your own primal creative energy, a force the ancient texts call Kundalini.
So this quote really gets to the heart of it. The texts describe Kundalini as this incredible, untapped potential that's already inside every single one of us. See, it's not something you have to go out and get. It's a force you've always had, just waiting.
So what is this energy really? Well, it's not some abstract mythical idea. We're talking about a force you can actually perceive. And when it's awakened, well, it leads to this deep, profound transformation of your whole being. And get this, it's irreversible.
All right, let's get into it. Before we even touch on how to awaken this energy, we first have to get really clear on what we're actually dealing with, and maybe more importantly, what we're not dealing with.
Yeah, and the texts are super blunt about this. All that stuff you see online, chakra bracelets, special incense, someone offering to read your energy for you, forget it. That has nothing to do with the real practice, the real sadhana. This is a journey you take inside yourself, by yourself.
Now this is fascinating because it takes this idea of chakras out of the realm of the mystical and grounds it right in our own bodies. We're not talking about imaginary spinning wheels of light. We're talking about psychoneurotic plexuses, basically real strategic points in your body where you have a huge concentration of nerves. They're tangible.
Okay, so now that we know what we're looking for, the very first step on this path is to map out these energy centers. But here's the key. You're not using some generic chart from a book. You're creating a map on your own body.
And that's because this isn't a one-size-fits-all deal. Your map is totally unique to your body's proportions. And believe me, getting these locations pinpoint accurate is absolutely essential. If you don't, the whole practice won't be as effective.
So how do you do it? It's actually a pretty simple but brilliant technique. You start with your little finger right on your navel, that's your solar plexus. Now, stretch your hand up, and wherever your thumb lands, that's your heart plexus. See? Then you just repeat that exact same hand measure to find the throat, the brow, and the crown. And to find the ones below, you just measure down from your navel. It's your own personal, built-in ruler.
And voila! Using that simple hand measure, you now have the locations of these 7 primary energy centers. From the Muladhara at the base of your spine, all the way up in a straight line to the Sahasrara at the very top of your head. And this is the superhighway the Kundalini energy is going to travel.
Okay, so we've got our map, we know where we're going. Now let's talk about the journey itself, the core disciplines you need. Because let's be real, this is where the hard work really kicks in.
Right off the bat, the source material makes one thing crystal clear. This is not a casual hobby. We're talking serious commitment. As in, at least 2 hours of meditation every single day. No exceptions. And it's not just any 2 hours. There's a whole structure to it. You start with breathing, then focus on the brow chakra to get centered, then your main chakra work, and finally, more breathing to close it out.
And success here means juggling all 5 of these elements at once. It's like a symphony. You have to be visualizing the chakra's specific color, say orange for the root, while you're chanting its seed mantra like Psalm, all while your posture is ramrod straight, like an arrow, and your body is perfectly still. And underneath it all, intense, one-pointed concentration. Even your diet plays a part, clean, wholesome food, and some texts even suggest specific things like lentils to support the root chakra.
And if you thought this was going to be quick, think again. This timeline really puts it in perspective. This is not a weekend workshop, folks. We're talking a journey of years. You devote an entire year just to the root chakra, then another year to the sacral. You master one, and only then do you move on to the next. It's a slow, steady, deliberate climb.
But you know, this path isn't just about meditation techniques and posture. There's a whole other layer to it. It's about facing some pretty deep internal challenges, what the text calls psychic knots or Granthis. These are the blockages that stop the energy in its tracks.
Yeah, you can think of these Granthis as these big, tangled knots of spiritual and psychological baggage that, frankly, we all carry around. As that Kundalini energy starts to rise, it literally runs into these knots. And our job, through the practice, is to learn how to consciously untie them.
So the first one you hit is the Brahma Granthi, down at the sacral chakra. This one is all about our most primal drives, the constant urge for procreation, and that deep-seated need to just acquire and create more stuff. Untying this knot is about rising above those compulsions.
Next up, at the heart chakra, is the Vishnu Granthi.
This knot is all about attachment. It's tied up in our clinging to people, to our feelings, to wanting things to stay the same forever. Releasing this one means really, truly accepting that everything changes.
And then there's the final boss, the Rudra Granthi, right between the eyebrows. The texts say this is the hardest one to untie, and for good reason. It's the knot of the mind itself. That inner critic, the self-doubt, all those destructive thought patterns that keep us small.
So once you've done the work, once those knots are untied and the chakras are cleared, the energy is finally free. It can complete its journey, soaring all the way up to its final destination at the crown of the head. And this is the whole point, the absolute peak of the journey. It's where your own dormant individual energy finally merges with universal consciousness. It's a union that unlocks a state of being that's almost impossible to describe.
And the results of this union? We're not just talking about a temporary good mood. This is a complete, permanent root and branch transformation of who you are. It's about unlocking your true potential, your unconditioned intelligence, a huge surge of creativity, and this deep, effortless compassion for all living things.
I love this analogy from the texts. It just nails it. Once milk is churned into butter, it can never go back to being milk. And it's the same here. Once you've reached this state of awakening, that's it. There's no going back. You are fundamentally, profoundly changed.
So this journey, it demands everything you've got. We've laid out the map and the process here, based on the source material. But at the end of the day, only you can decide if you're going to walk that path. The question is, what could you become if you did?